We were talking about Phoenix1 with the wave clear. Want to try to wait until that mid-late game for those team fights, but already Envy are saying, no, we're not going to let that happen. As looks like we might be seeing a lane swap going on. Lod and Hakuho heading towards that top side of the map as Slooshi and Gate on recall have already made their way to that top side. They're spotted out by a ward, though.
Yeah, it's potentially a called lane swap. Obviously, Lod and Hakuho would be spotted up by this ward. He's just looking to stop the early jungle, and this could be disastrous because he's going to be walking towards the lane and doesn't recognize he walked through that ward. He's also down exhaust already.
Oh, wow. He gets stunned against the wall. There's Ignite. He's forced to flash. He's going to come into this lane just about 100 health, but Lod didn't use his heal.
Yeah, nobody has many summoner spells at this point. We're now down to one summoner spell for Phoenix1 because they used their Ignite on Hakuho, and Hakuho also had to use his flash, so it's just Lod. I liked actually how Lod salvaged that play. He very quickly moved up to threaten damage on Slooshi so they couldn't chase Hakuho for the kill. That also made it so he didn't even have to use his heal. So even though Hakuho took a very dangerous path through that jungle, isn't super punished for it outside of burning his flash because he doesn't have to back. He has enough health potions and he can sustain back up.
Hakuho continuing to toss out this harass and try to bully the already low health, low summoners Phoenix1 duo. As Lod is farming to his heart's content. Quick level 2 picked up off of that second wave. They continue to look for pressure. Meanwhile, on the bottom side of the map, you can see Seraph and Zig are already at each other's throats. Zig is being denied a lot of CS and takes a big trade with Seraph.
Yeah, really excited to see Seraph's Renekton already getting the early lead on the lane from Irelia. And as the aggression is really pushing in both lanes, so much is going to be on Zentinel to try and push these guys back. But to speak to Seraph individually, when Renekton is free to sit and auto-attack the lane, his rage can build up so much faster, which is just making him more of a kind of a snowball-y bully in lane, since the empowered versions of his spells cost 50 Fury, and every time he auto-attacks, he gains a little bit of that Fury. So when Seraph is able to stay up in the lane like this, it just makes it all the more punishing for Zig.
Yeah, Zig getting the better of that trade, though, as he's able to get a minion and back away. Zentinel, a little faster on the clear, is going to be able to secure his first Scuttle Crab, and I believe that was the first hunt mark being secured. Proxen just a bit slower on this as he started off with the double buffs as well.
Yep. You are correct. One mark of the Kindred for Zentinel, and Proxen can't really fight the Kindred straight up unless he lands a spear from Fog of War. Even so, by catching him in the river there, he does allow his side lanes to maintain aggressiveness for at least the next little while. Seraph will be safe to push up this wave, but then would have to back away if he is respectful of the gank, which he's not being. I think he wants to kill Zig or at least threaten him off of CS.
Oh, Zig takes some big damage, and Seraph takes a turret.
He's in a lot of
dashing
trouble
away.
now.
Here comes Zentinel. Seraph is overextended. Oh, let's see if he can turn this around onto Zig. He gets some good damage. The stun is going to land. He's still got his flash, though. Can Zentinel finish it off? First blood, Zentinel.
Yeah, and that's punishing Seraph's aggression. He should have recognized the timing of Zentinel and that he could have been all the way pathing towards the bottom side, since they did see him in the top side of the map. But a lot of time, when you're winning the lane, you can kind of get lost in your lane dominant style and not expect a Kindred to actually just run all the way through river, give up farm just to kill you. When he used his slice and dice during the harassment trade, it just gave Zentinel free ability to walk into that lane and get the kill.
Oh, another spear lands for Proxen. Oh, this is a big wave showing up, and there's no support. Misses that one, though.
Yeah, they're definitely going to try and dive this. There's no... Zig could teleport into health.
Oh, it's a double teleport. Slooshi's the target. He goes down to Lod. They're trying to juggle aggro. Proxen flashes out. It's 2 kills, but Zig is able to catch up.
Yeah, so that's about as good as Zig could have done in that situation. Slooshi and Gate have been getting poked down very heavily by Proxen, and good reaction overall by Proxen to go and harass the top lane, as Zentinel had walked all the way down to the bottom side for the gank, especially since they knew that Zentinel would have had to forego a lot of farm to do that. It's most likely Zentinel was in a farming pattern instead of then running all the way back up to the other side of the lane. And while Zig did pick up a kill, he takes a bunch of harass elsewhere. It's going to be all right, though. He's level 6.
Yeah, quick level 6 immediately.
And he's got blue buff. He could try and go for a kill.
Oh, he's got the Sheen. Heal is used, and the auto attack is not able to finish Hakuho. Oh, that corrupting potion brought him down to about 20 health.
Yeah, getting the level 6 from the minions and also getting the blue buff from the kill on a Proxen really catch Lod and Hakuho off guard there. Again, Seraph getting ganked.
Yeah, overextended the second time. Dodges forward. Good slice and dice.
And that's why he saved Flash from the previous gank. He knew he wouldn't have been able to escape it. Therefore, he saves Flash this time, is a little bit more respectful, and gets away.
Here's that dive once again. The spear lands, and Envy setup.
Yeah, they're just waiting for the minion wave to arrive here. And I actually would have liked maybe a more preemptive teleport from the Irelia because they knew this dive was going to be coming in. Instead, he only arrives after pretty much Gate and Slooshi are dead. He can pick up a kill on the backside, but it doesn't save them from getting obliterated in the Sivir Bard duo.
Yeah, Ninja actually teleported in as well. Didn't even get an assist. So he had to run back towards the mid lane and is currently down about 15 CS behind Pirean.
Yeah, and when you're trying to use teleports against the Viktor, you're always going to get punished fairly quickly. He's been able to go back quite early and get the first upgrade of his Hex Core, so
he
one more lever.
Turns onto Pirean. Proxen tried to lead that one. He was looking for the highlight reel. He's going to flash this.
Yeah, but you can see the spear coming. Like, it's not one of those things that you have to flash before it throws out. That spear way off the mark by Proxen. Nice idea for the gank. They do burn the cleanse, but at the end of the day, can't get much else.
Yeah, Envy now send their duo towards the bottom side of the map and immediately start up on that Cloud Drake. First of the game. Looks like objectives are the name of the game for Envy as they've got a lot of vision on this side, and they're going to take this.
It shows pretty heavy prioritization onto the Dragon early right here because they're actually leaving a winning lane in order to do that.
Yeah.
They could have continued to punish Sivir and Gate up in that top side because they had already built just a bunch of longswords on Lucian and were incredibly strong.
Yeah, they're trying to steal away the blue buff. Did Hakuho just get that? Hakuho just got that.
They did steal it, and Zentinel actually had a smite. He just didn't time it properly at the very end there, so successful blue steal, and Hakuho having blue is actually pretty good. Karma can be very mana hungry. And now with the blue, we'll be completely free to spam that harass. And they swap back to the lane, actually, so they completely go down bottom just to take the Dragon. I actually don't agree with that from a wave control standpoint.
Yeah, you can see that Gate and Slooshi are just free shoving in that top lane. Sivir's wave clear so good at shoving in those turrets, while Zig has had a lot of time to farm on his own on the bottom side of the map. They're not quite able to take it, as it looks like Lod and Hakuho are on their way up to match it.
Yeah, there was a 20 CS advantage and a kill up for Lucian versus Sivir, and Slooshi had gone a cull, so if you're ever thinking about actually getting farm on Sivir, like, Sivir will not be able to farm while Lod is close. Giving them all that free time to shove in the turret will help them a little bit get back into this one. But now they have to actually reactively swap away because they know how strong Lod will be.
Some harass is going to find Gate on his way out of there, as it looks like Envy even in gold right now with Phoenix1. Zentinel, after his initial successful gank on the bottom side of the map, is continuing to farm it up and just clear around the map. Proxen will find him here, and Hakuho's still got that blue buff. The spear lands.
Yeah.
Oh, flash is used over the fat part
Remember,
of the wall.
He's got Runic Echoes, and he's got that mark on him, so he's faster.
Oh, the flash! He's forced to use the respite right away. Lod is waiting over the wall just for that final double tap.
And that is huge by Proxen. Zentinel was very greedy for that Scuttle Crab because he didn't have deep wards and also hadn't upgraded his jungle item whatsoever. So when Proxen comes in with the Runic Echoes and Nidalee getting that max range spear from Fog of War, it basically ends the fight right there. And even though Zentinel tries to flash away, that's Nidalee for you. She has the mark on her, so she has movement speed moving towards that target, even though it got nerfed in this patch from half the map to about 1500. Max spear range is within range of the Prowl, so he was able to chase very easily to eventually give Lod the kill.
Yeah, whoa, a nice on the Pirean one! Woo, over the wall!
No, that was so good by Proxen and Ninja, and it just shows the communication and trust those guys have. They knew Pirean's cleanse was down from the previous Lissandra ultimate, so all Ninja has to do is claw into close enough range to get the ultimate. Once the ultimate lands, it's a long enough lockup that it guarantees the spear landing, and as we said, Runic Echo is completed for Proxen, so that spear does big damage. He flashes over the wall after the spear and gets the execute. Perfect type of gank. Lissandra Nidalee, exactly how you want to execute it.
Yeah, Slooshi, Pirean not even getting a chance to flash. And once again, Slooshi is left free farming on the bottom side, but even so, he's still down in CS. Zentinel continuing to play to that side of the map with a lot of vision. But Phoenix1, if they want to make it to the late game, they've got to prevent these ganks from happening.
Yeah, I mean, it's really hard to prevent the Lissandra Nidalee combo unless you have very good ward coverage. And basically the way Proxen was able to kill Zentinel in the jungle, thus preventing the ward coverage, would have basically mean that Pirean has to completely concede lane, which is another thing that he doesn't want to do. So really hats off to Envy for pulling off those ganks.
Yeah, that's a quick 2,000 gold for Envy. After those 2 kills, give them another advantage. Proxen boldly invades forward. Another spear lands. And there's the Chaos Storm. A lot of damage onto Hakuho. Gate gets revenge. as he catches up the Tempered Fate. Wow. Narrowly misses Proxen Ninja.
Yeah, definitely a roam that Hakuho was a little bit too ambitious with. They were still missing the Lissandra ultimate, so they wouldn't have actually been willing to take a fight if they run into people. So therefore, when they ran into people, Pirean just burst them down.
Yeah. Still doing a lot of damage with that upgraded Hex Core. Finally level 9, so we will be able to clear waves nice and safely should we see Ninja roam.
Yeah. He can actually clear that wave at level 7 now with the change Viktor. That was one thing that happened with Viktor, is like back when he was super dominant in the LCS, he could do it at level 7. Then he got nerfed a little bit on his death ray damage. And then when they changed Viktor, the laser is now faster and the pass-through damage arrives slower, but is a higher number. So it's actually harder to land on champions, easier to land on minions. So he can clear the back wave of minions at level 7, which is one of the reasons he's regained prominence in the game.
We'll have to see if Pirean can continue to keep pace with Ninja as he clears out those waves and tries to keep up. Ninja continuing to shove in, and you can see Pirean playing back. He doesn't have a lot of vision on that top side of the map, so he doesn't want to get caught by any awry Nidalee spears once again, as it looks like Zig is actually taking a rather defensive stance on that top side.
Yeah, Renekton is really scary, especially when he gets his ultimate. Unless a minion wave is there for Zig to actually heal up on a little bit more with the Irelia ult, it's hard to duel the Renekton. Proxen gets caught in the invade, though.
Oh, man, stun over the wall. Didn't have to leave on cooldown.
Yeah, 2 over-eager plays there by Envy, but Seraph now, being eager by himself, is trying to go for solo kill.
Yeah, you talked about having that ultimate. He uses it just to bully Zig out of lane. I guess that explains why he was playing so far back.
Yeah, we know Renekton is very, very strong. He's a level down and also a sheen down, but still can just go at him with the ultimate. Now that the ultimate is down, though, he's got to be a little bit more careful, and you can see Zig really able to pick up the CS.
Yeah, just dashing around. Proxen freshly respawned, gonna head back towards that bottom side. Tempered Fate catches Hakuho. He has no flash, but he does have an exhaust. Slow's gonna find him, but this should be a kill for Phoenix1. Hakuho drops, and Zentinel is 3-1. Ninja heads towards the top side. He even used his flash.
Yeah, I gotta say, Gate looking on point, and Zig surviving this Renekton lane very well. This could also mean Ocean Drake goes over to Phoenix1, like a uncharacteristic roam there for Ninja, away from the important objective, doesn't get anything done except trading flashes with Zig, and now Dragon goes over to Phoenix1.
Yeah, that's going to even it right back up in Drake's. No Envy took a brief advantage of 2,000 gold. It's down now only to about 1,000 as Envy get a little overzealous with these plays. Here's that gank from Ninja once again.
Yeah, so Seraph was waiting in the brush. He catches Zig, and then Ninja would come in. I really feel like he misclicked his flash ultimate right there, because there's no reason to self-ult when it's a 1v1 and you're at full health. If they could have locked down Zig, maybe Seraph follows for the combo, but I call that a definite misplay from Ninja. Not only, I don't think he should have gone for it, when he did go for it, he executed wrong.
Yeah. Bit of a mistake from Ninja. Does still have that teleport, so we'll see if he decides to make anything happen once his ult comes off of cooldown. Proxen, we just saw invading once again with very limited vision. Almost gets caught by Phoenix1, but is able to get out in time as he now groups up with the rest of his team.
Yep, Proxen always been a very aggressive Nidalee player. Gets him into trouble occasionally because he'll push a little bit past the limit.
Yeah, he's doing it once again, but Zentinel not in position to collapse, so they're going to spot out a ward, clear it out right quick, and then continue to try hard farming. Proxen's all over the place.
Yeah, and I also think with the Nidalee poke, giving away the Ocean Drake is going to be a little bit punishing. Even when he lands those spears, if they can't follow up, the regen is actually pretty substantial, even from just one Ocean Drake.
Yeah, so Phoenix1 feeling good about that. The next Drake, as you can see, will be Infernal. Ninja's clearing a pink. He's going to take some damage, and Ninja dodges the Chaos Storm, but there's no follow-up. Here comes Zig. Ult is used defensively. Let's see if he can get out of this, or possibly even turn it as Hakuho tries to catch up, but Zentinel should be able to zone this away. Here comes Laud along with Proxen. The spear is ready, but not willing, and that's going to be Phoenix1 getting out.
Yeah, really fun duels you can see between Viktor and Lissandra right here. With the new Chaos Storm, it doesn't do the burst damage, but it does a lot of damage over time, so Ninja does have to respect it if he doesn't instantly kill Pirean with the burst. And nice use of self-ult right there as the fight persisted.
Yeah, once again, you can see Phoenix1 and Envy fighting over that vision. Proxen trying to get deep into Phoenix1's jungle and just invade and deny Zentinel as much as he can. But the Tempered Fate is going to scare Phoenix1 away after they clean out that ward. Now Proxen heads towards the bottom side. Quick sweeper lets him know he's safe.
Yeah. Also have to point out, Phoenix1 have more vision tools this game. Not only have they kept 3 of their warding totems as compared to the 2 Farsight totems, which have a longer cooldown and the wards don't last as long because they can get one hit killed. There's also a Tracker's Knife on Zentinel versus a Challenging Smite for Proxen. So just more wards can be placed on the map for Phoenix1.
Yeah. See currently Phoenix1 very defensive in that vision. Envy trying to take advantage over and over. Proxen sees Zentinel on one side, immediately invades on the opposite. Smites actually the Direwolf camp. He's going to toss a spear, doesn't quite thread the needle. Slooshi. Zig teleported in. He's actually going on the Hakuho, who has no flash. He dies. Spear's going to find Slooshi. Proxen goes deep, but doesn't get the kill. Vlad, meanwhile, is going to chase Gate. He flashes to safety with Zentinel over the wall, and that's a kill for Phoenix1.
Yeah, and an unsuccessful teleport match by Seraph right there, so good presence of mind for Slooshi and Gate to just go in. And honestly, Proxen showing with the spear from behind actually just makes the teleport play harder to counter gank because Phoenix1 can just Sivir ult directly towards the other enemies that Envy was putting up there, and they come away with a slightly positive trade.
Yeah, Envy, once again, the decisive call, rotate towards mid and take the tier 1. Pirean, in fact, died to Ninja during that exchange.
So, completely unrelated event. While Phoenix1 was doing work in the bottom lane, Ninja gets enough poke onto Pirean that then he can get the rest of his burst down onto him. So some interesting things to point out exactly about that trade. On Lissandra, the highest damage normal ability is actually the Glacial Path. So when he's able to land Frozen Tomb and just throw the slow Glacial Path through him, that's the optimal Lissandra burst combo. And also Ice Shard is on a very low cooldown, so when he gets it at the very start of the combo, he can also throw it again at the end of the combo, essentially making it a 5-spell reel, and that's enough to burst down Pirean, who hasn't been itemizing any magic resist.
Yeah, Envy trading kills for objectives, playing very aggressively so far. They want that 4-0 weekend, and they're looking to start it off with a win right here. But Phoenix1 making a quick rotation with 4 members mid. Zig is top, but doesn't have teleport. Ninja does, and he's splitting bottom.
Yeah, trying to use that teleport advantage to create more picks. A lot of the moves that Envy have made so far this game have backfired. I mean, a little bit of nice play by Phoenix1 with some Zig teleports. But aside from that, I would say a lot of this is just Envy putting themselves in unenviable positions and getting picked off.
Freak may not be out here on the desk, but he's here in spirit.
See, the difference between Freak and I is I will use something that like is actually a proper word in the case, whereas he will just use totally non-related words in order to make a pun.
Yeah, he'll go out of his way. Whereas that was on the path.
That just was in the flow.
Yeah.
So I was happy with doing that. I didn't feel bad about it.
Okay, so Infernal Drake is about to spawn. Currently, you can see both teams contesting over vision. Right now, Phoenix1 have got a few deep wards and a couple of pinks as well. Looks like they want to fight over this Infernal Drake, but Envy are already prepared. They've got all 5 members grouped up and are even going to start it off.
Yeah, Zentinel is actually not even close right now. They don't technically know that, but it's going to mean Envy can just kind of go for this. Bard Ultimate might come in at the end if they decide to go for a fight here.
There's the Tempered Fate, goes wide as Envy secure the Dragon on spawn, and Phoenix1 slip up.
Yep, big slip there for Phoenix1. I blame Zentinel. He doesn't actually finish the red buff, so wasted time, also doesn't get anything for his time. And now with Sivir pushing a sideway, we're thinking about an initiation.
Is cocked. It's able to drop the Lamb's Rest, but Seraph just looking for an opening because that mid-tier 1 is down. Envy are feeling safe with this aggression. Proxen again invading. He spent more time in Zentinel's jungle than his own so far. This is very aggressive play, and Envy continuing to look to snowball that slight advantage they have.
Yeah, now they have the advantage of having a second Drake. Obviously, the Infernal Drake doing 8% attack damage and ability power. They can also hopefully find fights better with the Cloud Drake. And they have the initiation tools if they find the fight, which is, I think, a pretty critical thing. Also, even though they had some slip-ups in the early game, you can see the waves are consistently pushing on Phoenix1's side, which is giving Envy more opportunities to try and invade to find picks. On Phoenix1 side, though, they do have pretty tremendous wave clear. Viktor and Sivir do not make it easy to be pushed in.
Yeah, they're probably pretty happy about the fact that they're catching all of these waves with all this wave clear. It is going to allow them to scale for quite a while, so we'll see if they continue to do that.
The farm is staying quite close.
Yeah.
Zentinel is having a good game on Kindred, even though his jungle is being heavily invaded. He's been able to fight back decently. 4 marks to the Kindred isn't bad for 21 minutes. It's not X-Smithy yesterday levels where he had
oh my gosh.
9 in a 26-minute game, but it's still pretty good. He's itemizing up towards what looks like a Maw, which should be pretty good burst protection. And really, Phoenix1 just needs to keep clearing out these waves and hope Envy make another move that is too aggressive.
Yeah, this might be that move. Pirean waiting in a bush with Zentinel. He's going to be spotted out as yet another pink ward goes down for Envy. As they try to press their vision forward, continue to look for a pick on the rotations. Seraph leads the charge with Proxen. That does mean Zig is split pushing on the far side of the map, though. We'll see if they can take anything with this. It looks like Phoenix1 are playing defensive. They're not letting themselves get caught.
Definitely, and if they see an opportunity, they still have the Bard and Sivir ultimates to try and make something happen. So that's kind of their turnaround options.
Yeah, there's that Sivir wave clear. You can see Envy looking a little bit too hard for the pick. That means Zig is going to get this bottom tier 1. Seraph, he's a level down.
They're going for a kill here, actually. The Sandra is roaming through.
Yeah, Ninja's on his way. Seraph, oh, he's getting passed by the minions. Oh, he is going to trade around, lands the stun.
Here's the Sandra. Zig's got flash.
Immediately stuns after the flash. Zig takes some big damage. Seraph tries to follow up. There goes the claw. Zig is going to die. Ninja locks him down.
And the question there is, does Phoenix1 have any prep to make another play happen? The answer is no. All of that had been set up by Envy, getting the minion waves pushing in the right direction, so if they do commit both their solo laners down to one part of the map, that nothing can be lost. And like, even deep vision control wasn't forfeit there from Phoenix1, so a very low-cost gank that results in a decent reward.
Yeah, now the blue buff is being stolen. Ninja gets to reap the rewards of that kill as Envy continue to deny the vision, shoving those side lanes up. Ping's now on the top tier 1 as Slooshi looks like he might finally be able to break that down. But Envy are rotating bottom. They might look to break a tier 2.
Yeah, they have to remember that Zig does have teleport, though, and that they can come here fairly quickly. Obviously, the Sivir can't make it right away.
Ooh,
another pick.
They're looking for yet another pick. Already preemptively hopping the wall. The Tempered Fate finds Proxen, but Lot and Proxen are still able to secure the kill.
I don't know why Zentinel was there in that situation. They either have to concede that turn or path the safe way around. Because Nidalee and Lucian aren't exactly champions that pick you off. They're champions that can kill you if you run near them. And Zentinel just paths too aggressively to give up a kill.
Yeah, that's the second time we've seen him make that sort of pathing mistake, his second death. Now, the next Infernal Drake is going to be up in about 2 minutes. And with that tier 1 down and a bit of deep vision, Envy could look to secure that. Ninja might be getting hopeful here.
Yeah, he was getting hopeful for someone far less tanky than Zig.
Yeah.
Spirit Visage. Components on the way. We'll look at this pick, though. Really just... Zentinel was maybe thinking about a fight, but with Sivir still being in base, Zentinel should have been pathing up towards where his base gate was instead of getting picked off by the Nidalee Spear and the Lucian. Now they're Sivir ulting just to run away. You can definitely feel the momentum shift.
Yeah.
Envy has control now.
They certainly do. 25 minutes in, Phoenix1 falling further and further behind in momentum. It's only about a 3,500 gold lead right now, but Envy dictating the pace of the game. There's a lot of vision around the Baron, so Phoenix1 won't be caught if that Envy tries to sneak it.
Yeah. I'm interested to see how Seraph's Renekton would function in a full team fight, though, because he's gone Ninja Tabi and then 2 very aggressive items with the Hydra and the Black Cleaver, so I'd imagine Pirean could actually do a very substantial amount of damage to Seraph if he ends up being in a full-on team fight. Which makes me think that Envy's really just going to try and continue using these double teleports and continue wave manipulation and just picking off Phoenix1, which has proven a little bit successful in the last few minutes, instead of going for a full-on team fight.
Yeah, continuing to look for these picks. They need to start trying to convert more of these picks into objectives. As 25 minutes in, they've taken 4 turrets and 2 dragons. And now they're looking for a third.
Yeah, this is going to be tricky. Zentinel can take Baron very quickly, and that's where the Phoenix1 pings are. They're going to try and sneak over the back of the wall because they do not have Scuttle Crab control. So technically, this is still not known for Envy. As long as no one walks out to where the Scuttle Crab could be, it's a total sneak.
Yeah,
they're going to get
members. There are no pings from Envy. They have no idea that this is happening. Phoenix1 sneak the Baron, and Envy are none the wiser.
Yeah, they know now. There's a global call out, but that was a beautiful sneak by Phoenix1. It's also a mistake by Envy to recognize that, yeah, why is no one contesting this Dragon? Oh, yeah, they're just really scared of us, guys. They're probably doing nothing. Well, no, Phoenix1 is going to be doing something. They have the Bard. They can sneak in the back of the pit, so it doesn't matter that you have the Scuttle Crab unless you actually have a ward inside the Baron. Everyone on Phoenix1 can hop over. So Phoenix1 with the presence of mind to use that and secure the Baron to keep themselves in the game.
Yeah, very expensive lesson for Envy. There's a lot of vision on that top side of the map, so Phoenix feeling very confident in making that happen. And now 27 minutes in, might be time for Phoenix to go back on the offensive and see if they can take some turrets.
It'll be interesting because they have to deal with double Infernal Drake now, which is still 16% damage. So while Baron will empower the minions and give them slight stat boosts, it's actually not as powerful from a stats perspective as having a double Infernal Drake. So I think they'll use these minis to try and get wave control back and keep the gold close, but I don't know if they actually want to get into a fight. If they can get a full 5-on-5 fight, I think so, just because of Seraph's offensive build. But outside of that, they got to tread carefully.
Yeah, Phoenix freshly emboldened are going to look for this top tier 2 turret. Envy a little bit split in their defense, but they're able to hold it together and keep the turrets standing. As Phoenix1 don't want to overextend, they're actually waiting in a bit of a death bush for this try.
Yeah, they're hoping that someone would randomly walk up there.
The minions aren't going to give it away. There are the recalls. Envy know when to play defensive, and they keep it safe. And a couple big item buys from Phoenix1 to make use of all that new gold.
Yeah, and I also think Slooshi is moving towards Infinity Edge. Sivi really turns on when you can get Infinity Edge, Essence Reaver, and a Zeal item, whether it's Static Shiv or Phantom Dancer. And with that Infinity Edge completing, he'll be able to get a lot of Ricochet crits, whereas you look at Laud, he's pretty much at his 3-item point. And I do feel that once Slooshi gets Infinity Edge, Sivi will become stronger than Laud, even though Laud has a kill advantage right now, just based on the power spikes of the items.
And Seraph once again dueling it out with Zig. Looking for, flash from Broxton, yet another Tempered Fate from Gate as he was fishing for another kill.
And you do have to ask, like, why was Broxton there? He always loves to be overly aggressive on Italy, but the enemy team has Baron. You're pushing out your waves. You're in a resetting state, waiting for the next Drake and then potentially Elder. But he didn't even get a deep ward down. Like, his pink ward is in his inventory still. Not a great move by Proxton, having to use his flash.
Maybe a little overzealous from Envy. This is no longer the early game, and we're even starting to transition a bit out of the mid game. As Phoenix1 are finally starting to group up, they've got their wave cleared, they've got some pretty strong items, and with the Baron buff, they can try to make something happen. Zig once again split pushing in that bottom lane with teleport ready. The remaining members of Phoenix1 might be trying to break down or possibly rotate onto Seraph.
Yeah, the big thing for Phoenix1 is they're trying to remain as a group of 5, because if they can get the right setup for a team fight, with Gate getting a good Bard ultimate and everyone running in with Sivi, they can actually win that team fight, because it's against a Nuri and a Renekton who are not great team fighters. So good rotation here, using the Bard ultimate and using the Baron minions to tank the turret.
Yeah, it's chunked down to half before Envy can catch up, and Phoenix1 still playing safe. They don't want to take any chances. Good spell shield is going to soak the spear as the Baron minions do good damage.
And you can see the Sivi Ricochet actually crit a few times to get a lot of people on Envy quite low. No Ocean Drake on their side, just the Nidalee heals to keep people up, and Proxton actually running a little bit low on mana. So when the next wave gets here, Phoenix1 is going to look to Ricochet again and maybe get the rest of that turret.
Yeah, the Baron buff just now falling off as the next wave arrives. Just a bit of unfortunate timing, but they might try to break it down the old-fashioned way. They've still got the same stats. There goes the ultimate. Slooshi calls it forward. Tempered Fate is dodged. Phoenix1 take the turret and back out.
Smart, actually. They used the Bard ultimate. If they would have had a good convert on who it lands on, then yes, Phoenix1 would have taken the fight. But when it missed, it still zoned them off the turret, gave them time to take it, and they still had the move speed from Sivi to back away. So that was actually a very well-calculated move by Phoenix1. Didn't get the best-case scenario, but the risk was incredibly low, and now the game is incredibly close.
Yeah, it's almost dead even in gold. 600 separating the two. The big thing Envy have got going for them are those 2 Infernal Drakes, and the next dragon is going to be up in about a minute. It's going to be Cloud Drake, which Envy would love for these aggressive rotations. But Phoenix1 trying to get back in this, keeping even now with Envy, and getting back into that comfortable late game where they can just team fight and win the game.
Yeah, obviously, Phoenix1 has only won that single game against Cloud9, but when they do make it in the late game, that's the one they won. It was about a 56-minute slugfest, because at that point, one team fight can still win you the game. Although they got to be careful not to get picked off. Envy going for the kill on a Zig.
Oh, he's caught by the spear. Ninja's going to collapse as well. That's 4 members of Envy. And they're able to secure that one with the tank dead. This could be an opening for Envy.
Yeah, Envy has been playing long games in their best of threes, and even if their team composition isn't super suited for the long game, their play seems to be fairly sharp. They're able to find these picks in the middle late game, and this is yet another one that's going to try and set them up for a bit of a power play.
Laud looking for a bit of damage. Slooshi is actually going to turn on to Seraph. Wow. He's trying to 1v1 him and gets him down to half. Slooshi is going to be stunned. The spear from Proxen gets an execution.
Oh, Seraph. He knew what he was doing. Slooshi could not time the spell shield properly. Also, didn't flash away. I was expecting Slooshi to try and flash away once Seraph closed the distance, but Slooshi goes for the big play, is unable to convert. This will cost him a turret at least.
Yeah, that mid-tier 2 goes down. Envy already prepped the wave on the top side of the map. It's still 5 versus 3 as Zig. Only just now spawns, making it a 5 versus 4, but this top tier 2 is not long for the world.
Yeah, taking the turret when they can, knowing that Slooshi's still down for another 21 seconds. Wouldn't be too surprised if Envy goes down and picks up that Cloud Drake, but with the recalls, they're actually giving Phoenix1 a winner to run down there. That's a pretty critical dragon, but we're going to watch this 1v1 again. Seraph just turns around, and Slooshi cannot spell shield the stun because I believe he used his spell shield and Seraph used his Q to cancel it, then gets the stun through. Really in that matchup, if the Renekton does land the stun on the Sivir, he wins. And there's no QSS on Slooshi and land the stun, so Seraph won.
Yeah, Phoenix1, you can see on that Cloud Drake, they made a beeline after the top tier 2 went down, and Envy recalling just a little bit further away, a few seconds too late, give up that Cloud Drake to Phoenix1.
And when you consider that a lot of Envy's advantages have been coming by running people down, getting the Cloud Drake to equalize the movement speed between the two teams is actually relatively important. Should note that that graphic is currently incorrect. It was Phoenix1 who got the Cloud Drake, so Envy's still just sitting on the 1 Cloud, meaning 3 Drakes for Envy and 2 for Phoenix1. That also means that when the Elder Drake does come up at around 39 minutes at this point, it will be less powerful than if Envy had secured the 4th dragon.
Yeah. Very strong for Phoenix1 if they can get that. Also tempering some of the damage Phoenix1 can do later. Baron now respawns. Talking about those late game objectives. Envy already. Seraph split pushing in the bottom with his teleport. Zig with his own as Proxen continues to invade and look for visioning. Gate has the, you know, I gotta use it now too, unenviable task of clearing out this vision.
You can only use it once, Tom, but okay, I agree. It's not a very, what's another word for envy? I need my thesaurus right now. It is not a fun task.
Yeah. Not a desirable thing.
Especially against the death cap in Italy now at this point. With still very little magic to this. Seraph, though, having to pop his ultimate is very non-ideal, especially the level 16 ultimate.
Vision gets cleared out by Envy inside of the pit. They're actually going to try burning this down before Phoenix1 can respond. Zentinel is on his way. He's got a smite. Let's see if he can... No, he can't go over the wall.
Oh,
Tempered the Baron stalls it out, and that's going to be Zentinel going down. Baron is secured, but Pirean might be trying to catch it up. On the hunt is used, and Phoenix1 disengaged.
Yeah, so really a Baron sneak in that moment. They had the vision control. We mentioned how Phoenix1 couldn't get the vision control because of how scared they were of that fight. Zentinel tries to go in over the back, and instead of it having a chance to steal, Ninja immediately bursts him down. So again, even though Envy has been making some mistakes, their decisiveness in critical moments is really what's pushing them ahead in this game.
35.5 minutes into the game. With the Baron buff now, very decisive moving forward. Here's that play once again.
Yeah, and you can see the burst going down very quick. Laud and Proxen. Proxen healing Laud to increase his attack speed just makes the Lucian kill the Baron even faster there. And then as Zentinel tries to get inside, like he doesn't actually even get a ward inside before Ninja comes from the side and stuns him up, preventing him from casting his ultimate. Really, Zentinel would have loved to get inside the Baron pit and just use his Kindred ult there to make it a smite war as the ult times out, but Envy was one step ahead of the game and get the kill.
And Mark said it on the desk. The decision-making and decisiveness of Envy in the mid and late game enable them to do so much, and a lot of that is off of Seraph. His confidence from playing with Ninja and Hakuho in the past, and his newfound aggressive jungler and AD carry Lod just enable the team to do so much.
Yeah, that's what it's looking like. They still seem to play fairly slow, but a lot of it is just getting the waves in the right place and just punishing opponents for their mistakes. You look at Seraph now as well. He's reached a certain level of tankiness. Doesn't mean he can take on the world, though.
Yeah, he's stunned against the wall. Drops the Dominus. Zig might be trying to catch him down. Stun lands, and Teleport is going to dissuade Phoenix1. It's even canceled by Ninja.
Yeah, smart cancel to get a lot of the cooldown back, but it does save Seraph's Guardian Angel. Now, Seraph's going to go back and probably teleport back into full health while Envy go for this turret.
Yeah, teleport to keep the minion standing. Lets a lot of damage land. That's going to be a tempered fate onto Lod. Can they lock him down? Seraph already jumped low as it's a fight in the top lane. Here comes Ninja. He gets into the back line. The respite is soaking everyone. No one has died yet, but it's a cleanup by Envy as they pick up 3 quick kills. Seraph is even going to go down with a Guardian Angel.
Ninja did fall after getting off a wicked self-ult on the Sandra, but Pirean's sustained damage was pretty substantial, and Envy is going to try and keep pushing this one through, but they got to be careful.
Yeah, they're finally able to drop the inhibitor turret despite Pirean trying to clear the wave, and Envy walk away successful.
Woo! Big credit to Ninja for coming in the side of that fight, and another very decisive call by Envy. Seraph teleports on your minion to make it so it can't die and they can continue the push. And it is very difficult to dive a turret against Viktor because you can put the gravity field right in front of the turret, meaning if you ever want to assault the base, you have to come in from a pretty sharp angle. So watch the teleport and then watch the gravity field. So now everyone on Envy has to walk in that top side, which means the Simmer Ricochet and the Chaos Storm can hit everyone. That's why Ninja then comes in from the side, self-ults, it damages 3 people, and then he can just queue through the rest of the team for a whole bunch of follow-up damage. But then yet another gravity field is dropped right in front of the turret, stuns up 3 people, Seraph pops his GA, Ninja dies, and allows Phoenix1 to at least push back a little bit. But Pirean was unable to do more. They still lose the turret, but they rescue the inhibitor.
Yeah, finally cracking the base of Phoenix1. Envy are going to recall and reset 38 minutes in. Elder Dragon is up in 1 minute, and Envy are already ready. They've already secured the Scuttle Crab and a lot of deep vision on that side of the map. And now, waiting just out of vision, might be looking for a pick. They're even going to secure blue buff away from Pirean.
Yeah, and also just, they know that Phoenix1 wants to get vision control, so they're hoping to kill them while they do so. There's still only one Farsight totem on Phoenix1, so now that that's burned, there's no good way for them to check now that it's on a 105-second cooldown.
Phoenix1 group back up in the mid lane. The 5 members still looking for their first match win. And game 1, they're keeping pace with Envy. Might be bringing us to yet another game similar to how they played against Cloud9 yesterday, dragging it out. They actually get the fast track towards that Elder Dragon.
Yep, it's now on the map. Remember, it takes about as long to take down as they do actually have vision control, so they've managed to avoid getting picked off in preparation of the dragon. If anything, like, the best chance they might have is actually just to straight up sit around and try and fight.
Tempered Fate catches Proxen. This is the fight you were talking about. They might try to collapse onto him as Hakuho zones from this side. Ninja goes in. He's going to catch himself. Slooshi is caught on the edge of the respite. He's still alive. Tries to drop Envy, but he just doesn't have enough damage. Seraph looks to clean it up. The Chaos Storm does a lot of damage, but Envy just clean up Phoenix1. That's 3, soon to be 4 members dead.
Yeah, and I actually like the idea of Phoenix1 trying for the fight. Is just Envy outplayed them so heavily in that fight. Ninja was a beast. Seraph was right behind him. Envy hit all the priority targets, and Phoenix1 was unable to prevent Ninja from getting in and also have no zone control onto Lod. So that many kills this late in the game with an explosive inhibitor is probably match for Envy unless Pirean can pull off a miracle.
The inhibitor is going to go down. There's a large minion wave, but Pirean is ready to clear it out. Takes a big chunk, but Lod tries to do what he can. Gravity Field catches a lot of the minions, but they dive onto Pirean. He goes down. Gate has just spawned, but it's him versus the world as Envy clean up both of the Nexus turrets and take down Phoenix1 for their first win of this series.
And you can see some examples of why Lissandra is so often banned against Envy, and also why this team has yet to lose a set. Obviously, Phoenix1 is yet to win, so this is a mismatch statistically, and even with Envy making numerous mistakes in the early game, you could see the team coordination in the decisive moments when it was a big team fight or a big objective to go for or a Baron secure. All things worked out for Envy, and now they have a 1-0 lead in the series.
Yeah, they certainly do. We'll see if they can turn it into a 2-0 lead, but Phoenix1, they kept pace. They picked the right composition, waited out, wave clear, get those late game team fights.
Yeah, it was not the perfect game for Envy, but it definitely was something that they're going to be happy with, right? Like, they know all they need to do is win 2 of the 3 games.
Yeah.
So now they can just continue to play a high-risk style, because if it works